Let's begin with our next presentation. The subject of the presentation is Green Construction and Opportunities in Real Estate Sector. Now we invite Dr. Sanjay Mukherjee, IAS, Vice Chairman and Managing Director, SIDCO, to give a presentation on the same. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Sanjay Mukherjee.
At the onset, as I begin my presentation, I would like to thank Construction Times Mumbai for organizing this extremely relevant event. And I must really appreciate, put on record, the excellent suggestions and the panel discussion which I heard about slums. Honorable MP, Shri Rahul Sheware ji, Shri Shrikant Shinde ji, Shri Gopal Shetty ji, and all honorable people here. It gives me great pleasure to be here, and it is indeed a privilege to speak in this session. I would be speaking about green construction, and I think as important and as close to our heart the issue of slums is. Green technology is something which has already begun and something which we will be seeing in the days to come. And these are things and these are issues which we have to plan for the future, look out for the future. There was a time when we thought ki having an electric car is green. Today we realize that is just shifting the pollution of the city into the place where the power plant is there. So friends, for the construction sector, to begin with some statistics. Now this construction sector is contributing to the air pollution to the extent of 23%, the water pollution to the extent of 40%, and 50% of all landfill waste is coming from this sector. In fact, disposal of construction and demolition debris is one of the most important things that any municipal body has to face. The building construction industry is secondly the second largest producer of the greenhouse gases, that is 35 to 40%, and it is responsible for 39% of the energy and process related carbon dioxide emissions. So the role of the construction sector is huge. And when we talk about construction sector, this is a pan-India, thing. Now in Mumbai, what is the industry of Mumbai or what is the industry of MMR? People ask, what is the industry? The most important industry here is the construction industry. So where we are concerned, these ratios are far, we don't have the figures, but these ratios are far more. And our contribution is far more in the MMR region than it would be in other parts of the country. Therefore, the look towards green construction. And as I told you, there was a time when electric cars were green, today they are not. Today we understand that it is shifting the pollution. So green technology is essentially a process. It's a thought process, a philosophy that makes the creation and usage of the built environment as friendly to the natural environment as possible. And the aim as we work towards green technology is how do we improve this process? How do we go towards something that leaves the minimum impact to the environment? See, ruminants will contribute maximum to the emission of greenhouse gases. So these are animals like cows, buffaloes, vegetable eating animals. So they have to be there. What? The bogs, the quicksands, these will also contribute to the greenhouse gases, but they have to be there. What can be reduced is the human intervention or the human change, and that is what we are trying to do here. So like other sectors of the economy, the real estate being the second largest sector, there was a recent survey done by JLL, and it showed that 87% of the commercial real estate tenants consider the impact of the construction technology on the environment before they take the lease. In fact, internationally, it has become a practice which corporates have to do. It has become a practice which corporates have to present. So 87% are actually of the organized corporate sector. Before they lease out your property, they will see what have you done to make your construction technology as green as possible. And a sustainable lifestyle is therefore no longer a wish list item. A sustainable lifestyle is today a requirement, and India has become one of the foremost countries in the number of green building projects. It gives me great pride, ladies and gentlemen, to inform you that we are number 2. After the United States, India has the largest number of green construction projects. So it's like this, we make a lot of complaints about what's going on. So I was recently abroad. I had gone for a smart city conference in Florida, and there was about 15 minutes of rim-jim paus, rim-jim, and the entire city was flooded. I was in the car along with the Honorable Minister of Haryana, Urban Development. The car stopped. People waited for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, the water receded. So it was 40 minutes journey. So I immediately checked all the social media handles to see what is the impact. Are people complaining? What are they doing? To my surprise, I found nobody complained. There was not a single tweet. There was not a single post on Facebook. Nothing in Pinterest. Nothing in Reddit. Nothing. So I asked later on when I interacted with the American diaspora, I asked them why this happens. And they said we will not normally do anything that gives a bad branding to our city. So that is, I think, a very key point to understand. So for us in India, we need to realize the good things that we are doing. And we are number 2 in green energy. So what everybody says that India is the second largest producer of greenhouse gases. basis, per capita basis, we are the lowest among the major economies. Similarly, among the number of green construction projects, we are number 2 in the world. So therefore, what are the initiatives what are you doing? So what are the initiatives that we have adopted in the jurisdiction of CITCO towards green technology? I'll just dwell upon that for a moment. When you start any project, then these are the primary preliminary performance target that has to be put in by any architect and any engineer. And this is what in the CITCO jurisdiction, this is what we are having. Number 1, energy. So in energy, what is the energy that is being used? What is the source of the energy? Are you taking only fossil fuel based energy, or are you also sourcing from green energy? And how are you transporting that energy? What is the way that is being done? That is one. Second is water, the use of water, the source of water, whether you are recharging that water, whether you are recycling and reusing that water. Landscapes, how much green landscapes are you leaving? Are you using local foliage and local plants and trees to habitate that green landscape that you are having? Or are you, getting in exotic plants and exotic vegetation? So essentially, we have to use what is locally sustainable. So that's it. Then waste, how you recycle your waste, how you compost your waste, the construction practices, how do you deal with that, the indoor environmental quality, the emissions that you are making, and of course, in the economic way, what is your life cycle assessment, what is the capital cost accounting, etc. CITCO is currently executing the world's largest housing project. About 1,25,000 houses are being constructed as we speak, and there we have now modified that project to make it, very green and very sustainable. I would in fact like to tell you here that the Navi Mumbai International Airport, which is our most flagship project, that airport will be a 100% green airport. It will be the first green airport in the country, and that the process and the construction of that airport is already now on in full swing. And similarly, so as we designed our buildings, we have the maximum daylight to reduce the use of illumination system. Similarly, maximum natural ventilation so that you use maximum outdoor air. Like for instance, so as they say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So if you visit the current place where the managing director of CITCO sits, then you'll find that there is no need for any light because it is designed in such a way that natural light comes in all the time. So it's only after 6 o'clock that you need to put on the lights and you need artificial lighting. Otherwise, in Navi Mumbai, the whole thing is lit by natural light. So similarly, in our housing projects, we have seen that the windows are bigger and they are designed in such a way that the morning and the evening, sun, at least one of the two reaches you. Similarly, energy efficient lights like LED bulbs, etc., energy efficient elevator systems, and of course, solar panels is something which we all talk about. As you construct, the older technology of construction was to construct on site. So it was brick and mortar. So you get the brick is being built in the brick kiln, and then cement is being produced, and RMC plant is there, and then you do a filling at the site. Now this was extremely, it is not environmentally sustainable. It's not something which we encourage. It also looks pretty filthy. So now as construction technology has evolved, prefabricated technology, and later on as the future will go on, 3D printing. These are the two futures that I can see. And so in CITCO, we adopted that. And in fact, I had given a challenge to the contractors. So we had two big contractors with us. One was Larsen and Toubro, and second was BG Shirke. So we gave them a challenge. Yeah, what can you do to construct faster? And what can you do to construct cleaner? And is there anything that you can do that a house which is designed as LIG looks like HIG, because CITCO specifications are very high. So if the specs are high, then why should the house look, LIG as you give the house? So both the companies took up the challenge, and then we did this project called as Mission 96, whereby we thought that we should build 96 flats in 96 days. And this is a tower which is now complete. The structure was fully built on site. So there is a closed factory, and I would invite the dignitaries here to in fact come and see these factories. It's worth a visit. The whole structure has been fabricated in a closed factory, transported on site, and then it has simply been put. It's a game of Lego. Like we play the Lego games. It's exactly like a, Lego game implementation. And therefore we have built this building in 96 days. The earlier target, or rather the earlier record, and this is the current record as well, because we did not know that to enter into the record books, you have to tell them in advance. So we did not do that. It's held by a Chinese company, 28 flats in 28 days. And now it is 96 flats in 96 days. And this project is also worth a visit in the sense that, like we were discussing about, government building houses. I think that is a very fundamental thing which was spoken about. When you're talking about rehabilitation, see, when we are doing rural development, we don't talk about financial viability. If a village needs a road, a village needs a road. If the village needs a water supply scheme, the village needs a water supply scheme. We say, okay, contribute 10%. When the urban local body needs anything, then we say no, the urban local body should generate its own funds. And so the urban local body, a citizen who stays stays in the urban side has a double whammy. Number one, he has to fund his own lifestyle. Number two, it is he who pays the taxes, which funds everybody else. So I think projects like these, large housing projects and slum rehabilitation, government should take it up as a social responsibility. Amchi Marathi, as we say, amchi samajik bandhilgi asli pahije. And I sincerely feel that secondly, the rehab component, as was raised in the earlier meeting, the government could start at least a pilot where the government does the rehab, So maybe there's a lot of complaints which come, on us when you are building, because whoever will do the rehab thing, he will get all the flack. So maybe you take the flack. But at the same time, it makes the project very, very viable for the private party who will come and do the private part. So maybe that a thought to that extent can be done, and maybe a pilot can be done, at the government level. So here, a prefab technology, we did, 96 flats in 96 days, and the other contractor, and as we speak, our speed is 1 slab per day. So the other contractor, with prefab technology, he did 500 slabs in 489 days, which means in every 0.1 day, 1 slab has been put. And honestly, this is worth a visit. So these are not like the typical as people say कि वो rehab की building बन रही है. So this is not that. And you would be very, very pleasantly surprised to see the way in which it has been designed. One of the architects of the project is sitting here, so I'm sure he will be happy with that. So essentially, as you develop a city, another concept which has been spoken about a lot, and in the jurisdiction of CITCO in the larger Navi Mumbai project, something which we are implementing is transit-oriented development. Now, a lot of उसमें काफी theory की बातें होती है, but essentially रास्ते के बाजू में डेवलप करिए, build it next to your transit, so that after you reach your workplace, you don't need to take anything other than public transport. So you walk to your home and you walk to your office. And in our area, we have done that. So it is compact, it's connected, it's coordinated, and this would reduce because vehicular traffic would come down. And as vehicular traffic comes down, this is automatically. In fact, this would be one of the largest things if we can do. If we can make TOD something, at least in the new cities. In the existing cities, it would be a very difficult thing to do. But where you are building new cities, all the new cities mandatorily have to be around this concept. So these are the various benefits as we spoke: higher quality of life, greater mobility, then, reduced traffic congestion, reduced household spending on transportation. So as you spend less on transportation, penny saved is a penny earned. Similarly, better property values, better lifestyle, more walking, less stress, less expensive, etc., etc. But I think for anybody who lives in Mumbai, he knows the value of time. And if you live say a flat is closer to the railway station, it fetches a higher price. That in new cities could be converted into a policy so that everybody has a walking thing. And one of the fundamental concepts of green technology is not technology, it is simply make the city walkable. As the city is walkable, lesser fossil fuels are burnt. Now we are on this concept. CITCO is building this project at a place called Naure, very near the international airport. This is a full new township in about 150 acres of land. And this would have everything. It would have LIG, MIG, HIG, EWS, ultra rich. So from the poorest of the poor to the richest of the rich. Because in the social structure, we feel everybody has a place and everybody has a role. So you have that. Similarly, this will have all the social amenities like schools, colleges, hospitals. One of the fundamental things which I am realizing that why people do not want to migrate to larger cities. Smaller people, they don't get a house to live. They don't get admission for their children in school. And thirdly, there is nothing to do. There's no place to play. So this will have everything of that sort. But from the green angle, important and interesting thing to note is that, see, when Navi Mumbai was developed, 49% of the space is still open space. So I hear a lot of people talking about environmental things and how CITCO is not doing enough for the environment. But I think if a development agency has taken the care to keep 49% of the space as open space, then I don't think it needs to prove itself again and again. In this case, we are keeping 80% of the space as open space. 80%. And even the parking lots will have green paver blocks, and solar energy and recyclables will be used in the entire project. The double piping system which we read about and talked about is now being present in every housing projects. So one pipe is for the drinking and potable purposes. The other pipes is for toilet lawns, etc. And this single move saves 40% of your potable water. Now as cities are growing and as population is moving in and as expectations are moving in. So see, long time back when George W. Bush was the president of the United States, he made a statement and he said that now people of India and China are eating a lot. So there will be food shortage. People of India and China thought ki, how is he saying, now, shouldn't we eat? But what essentially he was saying was this, that because of rising lifestyles in India and China, the total calorific consumption of India and China will increase. And since the total amount of food in the world is limited, therefore, export which happens to the United States, that will become more expensive. And so the United States is a competitive environment because of the rising lifestyles. Similarly, as cities are getting developed, the pressure on the existing sources of water is going to be there. So are we going to build new dams? You build a new dam, you have to cut hectares and hectares of forest. So there are two things that we need to do. One is that we need to recycle and reuse. And this single move will save 40%. And the second thing that we need to do is systems engineering. Like in the municipal corporate, Rahulji and Gopalji both would be knowing this. In MCGM, we did a very small change. I was there in MCGM once upon a time. So we did a very small change. And there were two pipelines. One system comes from Panjrapur, one comes from Bhandup. We had a system whereby you can trip. Like in power, if one line doesn't supply power, you trip to the next line. So we created the system that water from this line can go to the other and the vice versa. That alone has created 265 million liters. 265 million liters in Mumbai. So, and Middle Vedarna gives us something like 275 million liters. So one system improvement can fetch you as much water as a new dam. So similarly in Sitco, for instance, we put in a pressure conduit. That gave us 30 million liters. So in a small system of 250 million liters, that's a huge change. So I think these two things, if it is done, and especially city planners look into the systems engineering part, which is the difficult thing because engineers need to think about it, then huge amount of, green initiative and the carbon footprint can be brought down hugely. Another thing which I think I should tell here, and I should think that we have a right to be proud on, is that we have transferred something like 3,108 hectares of mangrove land. Under the leadership of the then Honorable Minister, now Honorable Chief Minister, we took up these initiatives, and transfer of these lands to the Forest Department actually has resulted in a permanent green cover in that area, because now this cannot be used for any other purposes. And we are the largest among any public sector organization in the country. We are the one who has handed over the largest amount of land. The way forward, as I see it, is this, that the key principles and indicators for defining sustainable building performance has to be seen from the Indian context. Number two, benchmarking of industrial standards have to be promoted. Government needs to step in. Government needs to promote green finance. Buildings with green construction need to be supported, and this will be the driving force. New area of research and policy development should be promoted. And of course, policies, legislations, incentives and disincentives have to be built into the system. So that like today, as we were discussing, environment clearance for a slum. So I want to build a building, I have to take so many permissions. I want to build an unauthorized structure, I can make it at night. We need to change this thing. And I think that's the biggest challenge that we are facing today. So therefore, the conclusion as I see it is that construction is an industry. And construction is one of the biggest sectors of the economy. And the demand for new and renovated building and infrastructure will keep this industry busy for the years to come. Very recently, IMF published its forecasts. India is going to be the fastest growing major economy. 6.4% is what they have predicted. We are predicting a higher rate. The United States is supposed to grow at something like 1%. So that is going to be the growth difference. And in that growth, construction industry is going to play a huge role. And with such an important role in the society, the construction industry has to take up a role whereby it brings in a sustainable technology and leaves a good footprint on the planet. And nobody should say that building it's going to spoil the environment. So that change in thought is something which we need to do. And as the long-term effects of an action become a greater, will come in focus, then green technology should become the norm. And the state and the government has to bring in a system of incentives and disincentives so that it is easier to get the permissions and it is easier to implement something which has a better green footprint. With these words, I end my presentation. I thank you all for giving me such a patient hearing. Thank you very much.
Right now, I would like to request Mr. Shantanu Kulkarni and Mr. Ramamurthy Mayavan to please come up on stage and present a special memento to Dr. Sanjay Mukherjee.